You're alright? I've just finished watching this on Netflix. Monster, Ed Gein Story. I come away thinking one thing really, and it stuck with me. Bad taste. Here's why. Alright, bad taste, and no, before everybody jumps in comments, I do not mean, and I'm not referring to, Peter Jackson's absolute classic from the 80s, Bad Taste. If you've not seen that, you must check it out. It's an absolute mental sci-fi horror. Well, it started his career, didn't it, Peter Jackson? What a film Bad Taste is. Not talking about that. In the moral sense, right? What it left me feeling. It gave me a bit of bad taste. A cannibal leaving a bad taste. So this new Netflix series, I say new, it's been out a couple of weeks. It's got mixed reviews. Everybody's talking about it. Everywhere you go. This latest instalment on Netflix of the Monster series. Please excuse Joey. And it's doing really well numbers-wise. 20 million views worldwide. I heard someone talking about it on the street outside, and they were like, oh, I'm not sure we're going to continue watching it. I watched the first episode, second episode, and I weren't right bothered. It was a bit gruesome. Conversation changed to, but everybody on Facebook says it's amazing. Everybody on social media has watched it. We need to watch it because we need to complete it. That's the thing, isn't it? We need to watch it all because everybody else has watched it. It's a bit like a fear of missing out, isn't it? It's moody, it's cinematic. Some say it's well acted. I can't disagree. It left me feeling uneasy. Like I'm watching history repeat itself, or horror history repeat itself. And that didn't sit well with me for this reason. Yeah, how much of the original story is actually just borrowed, or if you like, dug up, grave robbed? So, let's start with Psycho. 1960. Okay, if you've never seen Psycho, I would strongly suggest checking it out. It's one of those films of its time, but it started so many different ways and avenues for horror to go in. We've got to be really thankful for films like Psycho. If you've not seen it, like I said, watch it. And I don't think today it could possibly have the same impact, just because a lot of it's out there, a lot of it's been spoiled. It was the first time that a trick like that had been played by the director of a horror film in the first act. My mum, I spoke to my mum about this. My mother, she went to see it in Mexborough cinema way back in the day. A couple of years ago, she'll tell you. And they were queuing around the block to go and get in to see Psycho. And in the queue, she was stood with her friends, and a lot of her friends got halfway and they bottled it, they chickened out, and they went home. The people that had viewed Psycho in the cinema, some of them left early, and some of them walked out pale, and they were, really shook up back then. They've never seen anything so much going off, especially in that first act. And Anthony Perkins is absolutely sublime acting in it. Fantastic. And then you look at what they've done at Netflix with this Ed Gein, and you see some of the shots, especially in the motel, if you like, and some of the angles and things, and you think, well, that's straight up Hitchcock. You might say, oh, JT, you're getting carried away, you're being too critical. They're trying to pay homage, they're trying to, show some respect to Hitchcock. I don't think they are, in a way, because this is what's left a bad taste more than anything. And there's a couple of reasons, really, but this more than anything. There's no thanks that I've seen anywhere to the Hitchcock estate. There's no mention of Psycho at the end, like special thanks to the Hitchcock estate, mentioning Psycho, or any sort of credit, or just a thank you. But that's what Netflix do, isn't it? They just go for it. They just go for it, and they're not scared at backlash because they know it's making loads of money, and everybody's watching it, aren't they? Everybody. Can't get away without mentioning this. Psycho 2. Psycho 2's got to be one of the best sequels, underrated, ever. Say no more about it. I'm not having it. It's just insane how good this is. I would argue and this is controversial, this has got more rewatch value than Psycho, because some of the scenes in this bad boy, it'll frighten there. And there's this thing about art imitating life, imitating art. It gets confusing when you're watching the documentary, because it sort of puts in a lot of drama that we couldn't possibly know if it happened, or has not been reported. That's what happened with the Ed Gein case. You used to get things like, this story's been dramatised for effect. You don't get any of that. I've not seen any of that in it. A lot of it's made up. A lot of it's just so they can shoehorn things in. And yes, horror evolves, and people like Tobe Hooper, Wes Craven, they all pay homage to the films that inspired them and the directors that have come before them. So you might think I'm being a bit hypocritical by saying that they've not mentioned the estate of Hitchcock, and they've certainly not mentioned the estate of Tobe Hooper. And yeah, horror evolves. I mean, you wouldn't have Scream, and that's an absolute one of my favourite films. You probably wouldn't have Scream without Psycho. You wouldn't have A New Nightmare without Freddy Krueger in the slasher genre coming in. A New Nightmare is a film that I've just highlighted because it's kind of meta, it's kind of very, very self-aware, and that led the path, I think, for me, to Scream. If without New Nightmare, I don't know what you think, if you want to get in comments, but without New Nightmare, there'd be no Scream. You wouldn't have Scream. Moving on to 1974's classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It has got to be one of the most atmospheric horror films. I don't know how they managed to struggle and make a film look as good as this. As raw, as dusty, as sweaty, filled with, I don't know, it just felt wrong, it felt disturbing, and it felt real cinema. Absolute classic. 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, made for about, they reckon, about $140,000. $140,000 is probably a week's bill at Starbucks for their breakfast on the set of any Netflix documentary, Monster, Ed Gein Story, as an example. They must have spent a lot of money on it, and like I said, it doesn't look bad. It looks really well produced. Particularly the scene where, I'll give it a bit of credit here, where they recreate the Texas Chainsaw Massacre scene. It looked like it had been done with a certain amount of care anyway, and it was quite convincing and quite well done. Not got a problem with that, as so much as some might. My issue is, again, Tobe Hooper. No credit for Tobe Hooper's estate. No credit for using all this footage and idea. Oh yeah, but JT, that's what Ed Gein did and Tobe Hooper got it from Ed Gein. No, absolutely not having it. Ed Gein didn't do the chainsaw dance and spin the chainsaw around. He couldn't possibly have done that. He didn't do it, he didn't create it, and that's a bit of a blurred line in that film. It's almost like, oh, Ed Gein had a chainsaw. He's not even supposed to have had a chainsaw. Not just that, the way that they shot the chainsaw dance in Texas Chainsaw Massacre back in 1974 were a last minute thing, part improvisation, they reckon. So Gunnar Hansen, they were going to focus on that closing shot of the I'll not spoil it, but there's a certain closing shot, and then they said, well, we want to end on Leatherface. And Tobe Hooper said to Gunnar Hansen, just go mad, just go wild. That's what's been documented in the books as what's been written, and certainly from Gunnar Hansen's point of view, he had lived that, and he did that dance. He made that chainsaw come to life, and you will never forget that last scene. You will never. It's a beautiful piece of cinematography, an amazing piece of ad-lib, and it just fits the story so well, so well. It's just iconic, and we use that word a lot, don't we? But that is iconic, and for them to just not even credit Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Tobe Hooper estate, and make out that Ed Gein did this chainsaw dance. Yo, am I reading this wrong? Put it in comments if you disagree, but I found that bad taste. So that's 2 or 3 bad tastes, isn't there? But yeah, it just... And another thing, and this is what gets me, right? These documentaries are really, really well done, well stylised, well acted. They've got really cool soundtracks, and they've got really cool, locations and how they're shot and how they're lit even. And it almost makes it a bit fashionable, right? A bit sort of trendy. Especially that Dharma. I've seen that Dharma one as well, right? I had mixed opinions of it because it felt uncomfortable glorifying the serial killer and going over the top with style on it. It's hard not to be hypocritical, but what I'm trying to say is these were psychopaths. These were deranged people. They're not... It shouldn't be normalised, in my opinion, on a Netflix documentary with a fancy soundtrack and made all trendy and made all fashionable. It really shouldn't be normalised that way. What's going to happen is they're going to end up... It's just going to be what? Just normal TV now. Yeah, with serial killers are on. Yeah, we'll just watch this. Yeah, it's on Disney now or something. It don't sit right with me. And yeah, you can say I've got quite a few films. I've watched horror films all my life, collected them all my life. I've watched some weird, depraved films, right? What I get out of it is because I know it's all special effects made up. It's imagination, it's creativity, and it's something out of the normal. This is normalising. And what's going to happen with Netflix when they run out of serial killers? They're on with just about everyone now. I think Ted Bundy and something else is next. I bet you they make Ted Bundy look cool, and I bet any money people saying, oh, he's hot, Ted Bundy were hot, weren't he? Oh, we could get me in his bloody beetle. It's weird. It's borderline. It don't sit with me right. Might be my age. I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. And when they run out of these serial killers, what's Netflix going to do? They're just going to have to wait, because these days they catch them, don't they? Are they just going to get some other team to start doing serial killing so that they can make another documentary? I'm not suggesting they would lie, but... And when you're as big as Netflix, you don't have to care, do you, about copyright or integrity of others, and because people have paid, they're going to watch it, they're going to talk about it, you're going to make loads of money, aren't you, as Netflix? Better to seek forgiveness than to seek permission is probably their motto somewhere along the line. And they're not new to this. Remember the baby reindeer thing that everybody watched? But that were putting people in the frame, in the picture, that they were getting over it still. They weren't comfortable being represented in certain ways. How much of that were made up? And I think they were going to take them to court or something at one point. There was some controversy. They didn't seem to care then either. I suppose you could say more recently as well. In America, there's a bit of an outrage about Netflix. Was it Elon Musk that wanted everybody to cancel because they were pushing certain social agendas and things like that, and making that sort of spoon-feeding people? That's what they said. I mean, you can make your own mind up, but that's another little bit of controversy, ain't it, with Netflix? Of course we're all going to still watch Netflix, aren't we? Something's on, I've been told this is good, boom, it's on. You're not queuing up at a video shop, you're not catching 2 buses to get to a video shop to see if your film's in, only to find out some bugger's not brought it back and it's late, and you're going home on bus with something else. You went for Commando, you've got some weird film, but that's probably been a better film that you've found, but by accident. Turns out to be a mint film, doesn't it? Anyway, I digress. But on the subject of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this is a video nasty. Island of Death. I fully recommend this. I fully recommend that you seek this out. You can get it on Arrow Video, about £7 or £8 on Blu-ray even. That weren't a film that I rented back in the day because of the cover. I was like, that don't look very good. It's just a guy with another guy or somebody inside with a gun. Now, pass. Not much going off on box. Nah, I'm not bothered. Turns out it's an absolute belter. Nico Masterakis, who's made the film, he saw how much Texas Chainsaw Massacre made, how much profit they were in, and how successful it were. And the story goes, he set out with a low budget to Mykonos and just went, all I want to do is make a film more controversial than Texas Chainsaw Massacre with less money, and it's superb. It's so weird and freaky and disturbing, and you've got to keep watching. It's something else. You won't have seen much like it even this day and age. Check out Island of Death. The opening on it is like nothing you've ever seen. You just need to see it. Don't come back and say I've disturbed you when you've watched Island of Death. I don't take responsibility. Story about Island of Death, I fell asleep watching it first time, and Shaz were outside of me asleep. I thought she'd watched it all the way through. She woke me up at the end and went, "You're not going to bed until you've watched this. You've made me watch it. It's bizarre. Please watch it." So I opened my eyes and watched it, and she's right. It's a classic. Island of Death. If I went back in the room now and mentioned it, she'd say, "We're watching it tonight." We seem to watch it at least twice a year. It's a cracking film. But going back onto Netflix and kind of wrapping up now for this little video, this little reaction to the series, the Ed Gein series. And my personal opinion on it is, don't waste your time. End of the day, don't bother with it. Don't be like, I've got to watch it because everybody else is watching it. Watch this instead. Deranged.
The next thing to do is get this hair off.
This is as good as you're going to get with an Ed Gein story. It's so creepy watching it. It smells damp. Your atmosphere, you're just sucked in. The effects in it, incredible for the 70s, and really, really creepy, really spooky. I fully recommend that you go and see Deranged and you watch Deranged. It could even be on one of the streaming services, but this blew me away. This to me is Ed Gein. This and Texas Chainsaw to a degree. Watch this instead of that Netflix thing. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you spending some time with me, reflecting on Ed Gein. Let's see how we go. I'll keep a few more videos coming, and I'll probably do a Halloween countdown and mention some more films that might have been forgot about, or films that you might not have heard about that I can sort of put you onto. But for me, in this episode, I won't bother with Ed Gein. It's alright. Definitely don't watch last 3 episodes. Garbage. Making out that he's alright, making out that it's just schizophrenia. He were a psychopath. He were a psychopathic murderer that had schizophrenia. Bottom line, he made his choices, he killed folk. That's not to be too glorified, and that's not to be like over stylised and over dramatised. You know, it ain't, is it really? Stick to stuff like this. Cheers for watching Creepy Joints. I'll see you again. Take care, everybody. Love and respect. Cheers.